Good evening. Thank you for coming to tonight's inspiration webinar. The Inspiration software is the embroidery software line of G7 Solutions and Designs and Machine Embroidery. Our inspiration software line includes My Block Piecer, My Quilt Embellisher, Perfect Embroidery Pro, and Perfect Stitch Viewer. Tonight's webinar features our MQE, also known as My Quilt Embellisher. Altered embellishment. We have a wonderful team assisting us tonight. Dory, that would be me, manager of the technical support, Nancy R., Chris L., and I would like to present to you our longtime family member, Tamara Evans. Tamara is an educator for inspiration and loves to play with My Quilt Embellisher. So with no further ado, we give you our decorating diva.
Thank you very much, Dory. I appreciate it. I really oftentimes consider myself a little bit more of a manipulator, and that is exactly what we're going to do tonight. We're focusing on My Quilt Embellisher software, and we're focusing primarily on the embellishments. The embellishments are found right here on your screen where it says embellishment, and you can click on them, and it brings up the embellishment catalog. There are 50 different themes in this catalog. Lots of different things. We have 2 circle themes. If you click on the plus sign next to the name, it will expand the choices. It means that there's more options under there, such as all of these elegant options. And they are elegant indeed. I do want to point out one of these to you. It's one of my favorites. To put a design on screen, one of these embellishments, you simply click on it and say OK. And when it comes on the screen, you can resize it, enlarge it, or shrink it however you need to. I pointed this one out especially because I think elegant number 4 is just delightful. These are our elegant elephants. Or there's a typo. But I just wanted you to know where they are to find them because they are truly adorable, especially for a child's quilt or blanket or decorating in a child's room. So that is how you get them on your screen. I'm going to undo that, and let's go back into our embellishment catalog. And as we're looking at these elephants, you can see that there are 4 different designs within each theme. There is one that is designed to fill a square, one that fits nicely in a circle, another one that's more rectangular shape, which would be great for borders or half a square or whatever you choose to do it on, and another that's triangular in shape. That's great for corners, or you could put 2 of them together to make a square, however you want to use them, or 4 of them together if you had a really large square, or you shrink them down. So each one of these has the 4 elements to them. And the fan's lovely. There's feathers here, lots of different options. There's 50 different. Now, let's
Tamara, if you could be kind enough, excuse me, Tamara, if you could unplug your headphones and then plug them back in, that would be helpful. We have folks that are letting us know that the audio is breaking up. Okay, one moment, folks, and we will have this all taken care of. I can tell you, really, as far as the embellishments go, we have embellishments in each and every single folder, and we have them designed that you would be able to use as is. You can stretch them, you can combine them. You can break them up and you can put them together as tinker toys and create any kind of a design an embellishment feature that you need on your quilt. And as we know, sometimes the most plain quilts can look absolutely lovely. Okay, and Tamara is still trying to get back on. I am really very sorry. There she goes. Are you with us, Tamara? Okay, she has gone and come back, and so she should have her headphones squared away now. Thank you for everyone that let us know that there was a problem with the audio. We appreciate it. Okay, Tamara, are you able to take it over again? Okay. Tamara is now showing you the load backdrop. Loading backdrop allows you to be able to trace or recreate something that is behind, kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch or a trace box. You can take a JPEG picture and create on top of that using the backdrop behind. And one moment. There. Tamara? Okay, Tamara, we still can't hear you. Tamara? Okay. I am horribly sorry. She's having a really tough time with technical difficulties right now. You can take one of these images and you can load it as a backdrop by going either through File, Load Backdrop, or go all the way to the bottom of the screen. And that allows you at the bottom of the screen with the lower left icon to load whatever design that you would like behind there. I have used it in order to recreate and utilize the backdrop as stars, etc., so that I can use it as quilting embellishment on my quilts. There.
Okay.
There we are. Thank
okay,
you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on here today. All right. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Am I still here?
You
okay.
are.
Okay, good. All right. So we were pulling up a backdrop from our images folder. Now you could, of course, go anywhere on your computer and find backdrop. If you have one on a stick or in another folder, you can look there. This is just for convenience. So I select this on point block, and I'm going to open it up. Now, you could use a block from the block library, but I'm just going to play with embellishments, and I want a canvas to put them on. So I've selected this one. I want to point out a couple of things when you are working with your embellishments or your backdrops. You can change the size of it right here. So if you need to change the size of your block, you want to make sure that you are always working with the size of the actual block or your design's not going to fit. So we want to measure and make sure that that's correct. The other thing is I can make this a little bit lighter and apply it, maybe not that light, so that it's not quite so bold in my backdrop. And I think that's good right there. So we can also rotate it and scale it however you want to do it. But for quilting, it really does need to be the size that we're going to use. Now let's go over to our embellishments and select a design. Let's do something elegant. How about, well,
Tamara,
that's a pretty one.
We
Yes?
are not seeing your screen now.
Well,
all right.
Kind of weird. Okay.
I will take this back for a second.
See.
And you can go ahead and take it back. There. Give it a whirl.
Okay, show my screen. Wow. Joy, this isn't our first rodeo, is it?
No, I don't think so.
It's seeming like it. Okay.
It's Miss
Can
again.
you see me now?
I can, but I want you to know your audio is being wonky. Wait.
Wow.
There.
How about I do this? That's better. Yes, no?
There you go. Now I get to see your screen.
Am I good?
Yes, ma'am.
And you can hear me. Okay.
We'll see.
Awesome. All right. Okay, so I'm going to select this embellishment, and I just click on it and say OK, and it displays it on my screen for me. Now, to fit properly in the square, which is where I want to put it, I need to rotate it just a hair, like 45 degrees. Now, I can resize it.
Oh, boy.
Okay, should I just change computers? I
Yes.
can do that. Okay, I'm going to do that real quick. I'll be back. Entertain them.
Oh, entertain them. Oh, okay. Well, let's see. What can I tell you other than what you see on the screen is not always what you're creating. I often see squares and triangles where there aren't any. And in this particular case, I see a diagonal, or I should say a rectangle on point. But in reality, to create it, it would be done via a straight up rectangle. And this would allow you to create different parts. Can you tell us about the placement of a design on a baby's onesie? Okay. I can tell you about that. Albie, I believe your name is. Hi, Albie. How are you? Okay. What we normally do is we fold the onesie in half. And if you've ever put a quilt block on the front of a onesie, that's a wonderful way to handle it. Are you there, Tam? Okay. No, she's not here yet. All right. How do you do crazy quilts with this program? Well, Tamara is going to show you that. And see parts of the design that you see on the front of the quilt that you did see, the block. Yep. Tamara? Could we have your screen, dear?
Oh.
There you go. All right. Yep. Okay. Crazy quilts are made with stitches, a variety of stitches. You take any embellishments that you have, such as yarns, trims, buttons, doodads that you wish to place on the quilt. However, I find when I'm doing a crazy quilt that the neatest that I can use is all about the threads. I use a variety of threads. I use silk threads. I use very, very chunky threads. And sometimes I do a lot of couching. And you can do couching with embellishment. That allows you to get some of the crazy quilt effects. All right, that's what I tell my students. Okay, it sounds like a two-beer night. Yes, it does. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. This has been one of those strange nights. We're all having electricity problems here in Texas, and I can only apologize profusely for the disagreeable attitude of her computer. Can I take any questions from the floor? Do you plan on doing webinars on My Block Piecer? Thank you. I hope you're being funny, Sharon, because there's not a chance that I would do this. In fact, if anybody knew me they would be laughing because I am extremely uncomfortable doing what I'm doing right now. Everyone can see the screen. Mine says to view attendees 63 on the screen. There is. Hi, Melissa. And yes, in the background was also my lovely picture. This is my trip to Hawaii, everybody. I hope you enjoy my little trip to Hawaii. And we are going to be doing other webinars on my block pacer. I won't be doing them, and I'm sure you all appreciate the fact that I will not be doing them. I do technical support, and for the most part, I usually have an idea of what I'm talking about. And we do have a wonderful forum. For those of you who have not been on our forum, I would encourage you to come and visit us. We can ask questions on there, and what it does is allows not just you, but everybody else that's reading it, how to get better with your programs. And we thoroughly enjoy it. We have two of our moderators. One is Nancy R. and one is Chris L. And they always are there helping you. Yes, you only have the dime screen, no picture, and I appreciate that. We're working on that, Faith. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate your kudos. I am so unbelievably nervous, but I'll get over it. I don't see anything except the dime webinar opening white screen. Debbie, you are correct. We cannot see any screen, just the dime screen. Yes, all of you lovely people. Yes, we are aware that you can only see the dime screen, and we apologize for this. The forum is located at inspirationsupport.com/forum. Go in there, select a wonderful I will absolutely tell you that when you go to the forum, you can elicit a lot of good help. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, when you're really scratching your head, that forum is going to be very, very helpful. And I will, let's see, it says, if our computer crashes, how do we get your dime software up and running again? That's a great question, Faith. Thank you. What you do is you get onto the help desk, which is here to help, HERETO, help.inspirationsupport.com. And if you type that into your browser, it will bring you to the help desk. You'll tell us what your serial number is of your software and tell us why you want another activation, and we will let you know. Okay? It's very, very easy. And we always have a link for you to get your software up and running. Now, I've got a question for you. How many of you have had the original Floriani software? Can you let me know? Can you type in yes? Okay. And I will repeat the address one more time. Here, HERE, to, T-O, help, H-E-L-P, dot, inspiration, support.com. That's all one word, no spaces. My goodness, a lot of you came from the Floriani, original Floriani software. And then we, of course, have some new people. Wonderful. Yes, many of you have. Now, do you have My Block Pacer? Tell me now if you have My Block Pacer. Oh, yes. Now, I thoroughly enjoy the My Block Pacer. I really do. And the Quilt Embellisher, I'm getting better at. It allows me to, there we go. Tamara, you there? Nope, she's not there yet. You
Muted?
are?
Oh, there I am.
There you are.
I'm unmuted now. Okay,
Okay,
good. I'm so sorry.
that's okay.
But I don't want to interrupt you in the middle of a...
Oh, that's okay. I'm just blubbering.
Oh, I missed it. Okay. All right. Is everything good? You can
Yes,
see my
ma'am.
screen?
Nope,
Okay.
we cannot.
Oh, well, that's because
I haven't
I
given
don't
it to you.
have it. That's why.
I wanted them
Share
to see
my
my picture
screen.
of Hawaii.
I liked your picture of Hawaii. All right. Hopefully, all of the webinar spirits are with us
Oh, thank you,
in a
Patricia.
favorable way. So I apologize, folks, for the problem, and hopefully we're through with that. So let me go over here and select my, oh, I'm not selecting a block. I have to remember where I was now. Okay. I don't want that. All right, I'm going to my backdrop tool and click on backdrop. Then it brings me up to my images folder. I'm scrolling down to select. Oh, these are in different order than the other one. Oh, there it is. Select that design or that backdrop. I could resize it here. I'm going to make it a touch lighter and apply. Okay, now let's go back to our embellishment designs. And I think I was in flowers. Let's see. Oh, elegant. That's where we were. That one. Okay, so I'm going to select this design and click OK. Now, before we go any further, I hesitate to say that again, I want to show you what the design it consists of. I'm going to put it in 3D view so you can see it. Here is the design. It's a run stitch design, and it is this color right here. See all the run stitches? Then the other color is artwork. All of the embellishment designs include an artwork outline. You can choose to use the one that comes with it, or you can create your own. The reason all of these actually have an artwork outline is that originally the outline function or feature was not part of the software. It was one of your free updates that you got. So I'm just going to select my artwork and delete it because I want to show you how to create your own. Now we have our design on the screen. I'll scroll back out a little bit. I'm going to select it, rotate it, and let's make it larger. And I could have measured my block, but I didn't. So we'll just fudge it here and fit it right in there. Now, because this doesn't have any white space around the design, and this is going in the center of the block, and it's sized, you know, to the finished size, I can just click, right-click up here and on the ruler and say Center Origin, and it'll actually put that in the center of the block for me. So that looks really lovely. Now, to do the rest of the block, I think that design is so striking that I really don't need a lot of other embellishment. But what I do want to check before I move further is if I click on my design, I'm going to see over here that my length of stitch on the run stitch in here is 2 millimeters. That's really kind of a small stitch. I can change that if I want to. I have complete control. I may want to make that 2.5. Give it a little boost there. And part of it, it doesn't give me a particular type, whether it's standard, which is 1 run, or 2-ply, which is 2, or a bean stitch. I'm going to make this a standard stitch and then click Apply. So now I have a single run stitch going around there, and my stitch quantity of stitches has decreased. If I really want that to show, I could make it a 2-ply stitch. I could even make it longer because that puts more thread up above the fabric rather than knotting it down underneath so you really see the thread, we'll make that a 3mm stitch and click apply. Now, if I take it out of 3D, let's see what's happened. It's kind of messed up a little bit, right? So all I have to do to fix this, because you can see where these jump stitches are, it's not pathing the way it should, not a problem. I'm going to click on it and come up here to my Combine Selected Paths. And I really want y'all to learn this tonight because this just improves everything you do. If I select Combine, then it goes through and paths this for me for a 2-ply stitch. So it goes over everything twice, which is kind of hard to do on your own. Some people think that's very fun. I'm not one of those people. But it will fix it for me. And yes, I am using my slow computer, but as far as I know, you can still hear me and see my screen, so we're good to go. It's thinking about it. It's figuring out a path. And eventually, we'll have a nice, pretty design.
Can you suggest some great threads to be using with this?
Oh, you know what? I think that depends entirely on your taste. If you're using a heavier thread, you don't need to use, you could do it a single ply, like a, I don't know, a 30 weight thread instead of, usually our embroidery thread is 40 weight. If I want my designs to disappear, then I will use a very lightweight thread, like a 50 or a 60 weight. Bobbin thread is, you know, a very lightweight thread, and it comes in all kinds of colors now. You could use that. Oh, there we are. If you're using, you could use your standard embroidery thread. You could use cotton thread. You can really use whatever thread you choose. But let's look at it now in a 3D view, a realistic view. Over here on the left-hand side, I click 3D, and that, I think, looks much better than it did before. Everything has 2 plies on it. It goes over all of the design twice, and I don't have any jump stitches. So a nice little tool that really can help you out quite a bit. So I like that design, but I want to put something around the edges here and the rest of it. So I'm going to go to my artwork tool, and I'm going to select a rectangle. And I'm going to put that rectangle right here. Now I could do this with a triangle, but triangles are just a little more problematic. You have to move the points and such. With this one, I've got one rectangle, and then I'm going to create another one. And this one I have to play with to fit the block. I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees and just come up here, and actually I can select my points, and that's the easiest way to do it. Just move them in so they're at the edge there. And you do that by clicking the shape tool, and since a square just has 4 points, we can just pull them in like this. Okay, now what I want to do, just for your visual, I don't have to do this, that one's not really exactly on, is it? To make it work, trying to get this square back here. I will click over here. Sometimes if you have trouble getting something, it's easiest to go over to your sequence view and change it there. Okay, and there we go. That's a little better. Okay, that's it. All right, now I want to select my artwork, both of them, and fill them so you can see it better. Then I'm going to take my second square that I made, and I'll change the color just so you can see it better. And now I've got a square and a square, kind of looks like my block. Select both of your artwork pieces, and we're going to use that combine tool again. In this case, it's kind of like removing overlap. Now, at this point, all I have to do is convert these artwork patches to another stitch. I could do a stipple in there if I wanted to, and of course change the color to match how I want it to look. I could also, one of my favorite things, I love the shape echo. if I want to echo the shape of that center square, let's pick the shape echo. And I'm going to come over here to my properties box and change the density, the distance between those rows of stitches, because that looks really too close together for my comfort, and expand that out. And if we change the color of our stitching, it might look a little better. We could do it in, oh, that looks pretty close. And there you go. And you have a nice block where that design is really highlighted in the center. So you can make that go, put any kind of design you want to in the background. Let's do another one, and I'm going to change it a little bit. I want to do the same backdrop. We'll just come in here and select it. There we go. We'll do it the same size. Only this time, I'm going to select a different embellishment, and we're going to make some changes to that embellishment besides just the run. Let's go to flowers. And I've got one in here that's fairly simple. Maybe it's in leaf. See, I have this set up on my other computer. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Elegant number 6. That's the one I want. And I'm going to take this design right here. And, well, actually, I could do this design because it's already on point. And select OK. Now, it's quite a bit smaller. The first thing I want to do is get rid of that backdrop, that artwork outline. Then I'm going to enlarge this and center it. Let me put it on 3D so you've got a better visual there. And make it close to the size of that center patch. Okay, now this is a more open design, but I do want to check and see the stitch length. That again is a 2, and that's fine. Or I could make it a longer stitch length and change it in any way that I care to. It always comes in when you select an artwork or an embellishment design. When it comes in, it's always grouped, which is very nice and handy for you to resize it and skew it and move it around and play with it so it doesn't come apart. But there's times when we want to tear it apart a little bit, and this is one of those times. So I can either right-click and say ungroup, or with it selected, I come up here to my ungroup icon and click there. Now that it's ungrouped, I want to select this element that's in the center, and I'm going to right-click and copy it. Then I can paste it, and it pastes it over where it copied it from, but I'm going to move this up into the corners, and I'm going to paste again and pull this one up here and paste again. I don't have to copy it each time. I just have to keep pasting it and paste again. Oops, let me pick that up and move it. And now I have those in each of the 4 corners. To align them, I could select them this way and use my alignment tools, the center vertical one here, so that those are straight, and then do these 2 here and do the horizontal alignment. And now I kind of want to scooch that over a little bit, and so on and so forth, so you can get them really straight in the block. Then all we have left are these little triangles. Now I could do a couple of things there, and the one I think I'm going to do is select this little top part of the design. And to do that, I'm just going to scroll in, and if I click on it, I'm only getting part of it. If I click here, let's see if that's all of it. I'll right-click and copy it. Let's paste it and move it out here and see if we got the whole thing. Yeah, that looks good. Now I'm going to rotate that 45 degrees and move it up here. Oops. scroll in and resize that a little bit so that it fits nicely in there. I'm also going to change the color on that one so that you can see it better. We'll change it to this lighter green, which looks horrible. So let's change that lighter green to, we'll do something a little more neutral. There we go. Okay, now that doesn't look any better, but you get the idea. So now that I have that fitted, I can take it, and I'd really like to select the whole thing and group it so it stays together. Right-click, copy, right-click, paste, and move that one over here and center it where I want it. And to do some fine maneuvering of your design, hold down the Control key and use your arrow keys, you know, the north, south, east, and west ones, and that lets you kind of fine-tune where you put that. Then I'd simply select both of them, copy, paste. I'm going to rotate them to this angle and then move them over here. And again, use my arrow keys and get them positioned where I like them. Then I can actually keep those selected, select that one and that one, right-click, copy, right-click, paste, and in no time I can have my designs all copied and pasted. And we will flip this one vertically and maneuver it so it fits in that area. And again, squish them over a little bit and down. And there you go. So we finished that block, and it looks entirely different than the one we did before. Not quite as much stitching. You could take this, and if they were all the same color, and let's do that, select them, or if you want them different colors because you're doing it on the green, you can optimize your sequence so that it stitches in the right order. And you can do the same thing with the one in the center, so it will stitch in the best order without jump stitches. Okay, so Dory, do we have any questions so far?
Yes, we've had several of them, and one of them is, can you show us where you're pulling these blocks from, please?
Oh, the blocks. These are blocks that I have loaded into my backdrops, and you know, some of them I've created other places. They are in my backdrop tool. It may be from a pattern. Oh, I can't do a second backdrop on the same page. They're just pictures. Now, I could have taken a photograph and done the same thing. The next one, I'm going to show you how you can use the catalog if you're decorating blocks with that. And it could even be a design that you created in My Block Piecer, and you want to bring it over here. In the block catalog, whenever you bring up a block, and we'll do something somewhat simple. Well, that's not it, is it? Let's do, we'll do diamond in a square. And if I bring in a block, and I can certainly change the size on it, as you all know, we'll make this a 10-inch block. And click OK. It comes into my size. Now, if I turn off my artwork and turn on my backdrop, it brings up a backdrop for me. I have to select the backdrop and come over here and change my block size. So I can make backdrops out of my existing blocks in my block catalog. You just need to make sure that if you've changed the size, that you resize that backdrop. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So now I could create designs on here. I could come in and do the similar type thing, and that's my backdrop. It gives me my size. You can also measure your block and create your own backdrops. you know, with photographs or scanning or just doing it on the screen. One of the things that we can do with embellishments, and let me bring the artwork on this block back up, I can bring in an embellishment design such as, let's do this owl. This little owl is really cute. So I'm going to bring him into my block, into my square, and resize him. And I even could get rid of that stem if I wanted to. It's very simple to edit run stitches in this program. Oops, let me undo that. I didn't get the whole thing. Oh, I need to first go in and, is this my artwork? I'm going to delete my artwork. Okay. Now, when I scroll in here, my block comes in grouped. I need to, let's put it in 3D because that's hard for me to see. I'm going to right click and say ungroup or click my ungroup key. Then, just using my selection tool, let's see what I can get rid of. I can delete that, and we'll see if this is all one object. Click on it and delete. Click on it and delete. Now, you can't hurt anything with this because we don't do autosave. And if it did, it would ask you for a file name because we're creating a new file here. You don't ever save it back to your your embellishment file. So it is all good. And we can just make this little guy a little bigger. And center him in the block. Oops, nope, he's not grouped anymore. I do want to keep him grouped so I can play with him. Needs to keep himself together. So I will center origin and group him. Okay, so now what I want to do around this guy is echo quilting. So I select him and I'm going to create my own outline because the outline that came with it won't work because it had the stem on it, and so I deleted it. Now here's how you create your own outline. You simply, with the item selected, in this case it's the entire owl, I just click, I right click and say create outline. Then I can judge the distance from that design, whatever I want it to be. If I want it to be 8/100ths of an inch, or if I want it to be 1/10 of an inch, and I just want one repeat of it. And when I click OK, it creates an artwork outline for me. You can see here where it says my new color, and whoops, I don't want to turn it off. And if I expand the view, it's artwork. So there's my artwork outline. Now, because I already have it sitting on the artwork of the block, I can select the red, and I can select, come down here, and to select both of those, I simply hold my control key down and click on this artwork, and I'm going to combine again. You can kind of think of combine as like remove overlaps, where it gets rid of things that are on top of each other, or as a cookie cutter and dough. So it's now created a hole in my artwork that I can convert that to echo quilting. So if I want to echo out from this owl, I can do that. Just like that. Or I could give it another design altogether. Okay, now we still got the beige corners to fill. The first thing I'm going to do is change those from beige to another color so it's easier for you to see. Ooh, it won't be orange, that would be ucky. Let's make it a darker green. Okay, now what I want to do with these, because they're artwork, I can convert them to other types of stitches. I'm going to change these 4 corners to a run stitch. If I select them all, I will select the green and then convert to a run stitch. Sorry about that. Okay, so now I have a run stitch like stitch in the ditch. It would be a perfect stitch in the ditch. But I can do some other things with that besides just stitch in the ditch. I could come in here and select one of them, and let's scroll in on that one so you can see it better, and click on my shape tool over here in on the left-hand side, the second one down, and select that design. And you see I've got a node here, here, and underneath my start and stop points right here. What I want to do is change this just a little, give it a little more curve. I'm going to right click on this line and add a point or a node to it. And I can just pull it in like that. I'll do the same thing in the center of this line, add a point and pull it in here, and do the same thing over here and just pull that in. So I don't have to do really heavy quilting on it. I just want to make it different. Give it a little curve. And you can do the same thing on the other points, or the other corners. I could also take another option, would be to select that corner and make it smaller. I can come over in my properties box over here on the top right-hand side of the screen and check transform and make it 80% smaller and click apply. And then just simply move that off of there and center it in that corner. Now I've got a little bit different look. I could also take this, if I want to still keep the stitch in the ditch, right click and say create an outline. Only this time I want to go inside. And I want to go inside 1/10 of an inch, oops, not an inch, 1/10 of an inch, and I want to do 2 repeats of that. And click OK. Oh, we'll make that much larger. Let's do undo. I forgot how big this block was. Select it again, right click, create an outline, only this time inside. Let's do 3 repeats, and I want to make it 1/2 of an inch apart and click OK. So now I've got a different kind of look in there. But when I do the outline, remember this is artwork. So I have to select it and then convert it to a run stitch. And we'll also convert it to the color that we want. And there you go. So there's lots of different ways to decorate those corners. Of course, I could always take this and convert it to another type of stitch. We could go to an advanced stipple stitch and do an apple core design. And there you go. So different options. Questions at this point, Dory? I'll take that as a no. I'm going to change the apple core. Let's make that much larger. We'll make it 19 millimeters. And if you want to change the angle on that, simply come back over to your shape tool, and there she is, and change the angle so it's going along more with your block. Did we have a question, Dory?
No, the only question we had that I saw that was of interest, particular interest I should say, is can we be using all of this embellishment excitement on the long arms?
Oh yeah, quite a bit of it. You can save the designs because they're run stitch designs, and you can save them. I could take, well, let's go over here to this one, and I can take this and do File, Save As. I'm going to select the name for this, and we'll just call it On Point. Oh, not On Point. On Point. And I can save it anywhere I want to. If I want to take it to, you know, my stick to put on my machine, I can save it directly there. And then I'm going to save it in the format I need. If I'm doing a long arm, instead of saving it in a machine embroidery stitch file format, I'm going to save it in a format for my long arm machines. And all of those are down here.
Oh.
So you can save it directly to there. And all of those embellishment designs that we have built in will work. We also can make our own out of designs that we have. Let me show you how that's done. It's really kind of fun, and it's a fun thing to play with. Let's get out of this. I'm going to open up a new file. And we got a new page here. I'm going to go into my library and scroll down to my free designs that came with my Quilt Embellisher. And there's some lovely flowers and different things in here. I like this one particularly well. Now, I could stitch that on a block. I can create an outline stitch around it, just like we did with, you know, a quilting design. The outline works with everything. But what I want to do here, maybe I have it stitched somewhere in the quilt, but I want to do quilting along a border. And I want to use this as a motif instead of a filled design. If I do that, the first thing I want to do is look at my sequence view. And in my sequence view, over here on the right-hand side in the bottom right-hand corner, I have these little eyeballs. And I can click that and turn that eyeball off. It's not deleting the color, it's just turning it off. So I can't see it and I can't touch it. So I'm going to do those three, and I kind of like the look I'm getting here. I've got an outline design around these. First thing I need to do is ungroup it so I can play with it now at this level. So here I've got this standard run stitch design, and what I don't want are these, you know, big stems when I've got a run stitch. So here's what we do. I come in here, and if you see with your view expanded, I'm going to select these satin stitches and delete them. I'm just selecting them and hitting my delete key. And I want to get rid of all of the satins. That one. Now I can hold my control key down and select more than one, which is a little bit more efficient way of doing it. So you see I'm just selecting the satins because I don't want them. Click. And is that the last one? Yes. Then I hit my delete key, or I can come up here to cut, or I can right click and say cut, any way you want to do it. So now I have only run stitches, but there's some jump stitches and it doesn't look very pretty. If I look at it in 3D, it doesn't look really much better. So here's what we're going to do. I wanted to select all of it and use my trusty friend combine. And it cleans that up for me. And now I have a stitch that I can go out and that mirrors the stitches that I have on my design on my quilt and do a border. You know, you could also use this. Here's one of the things that people need to know. This program isn't just for quilting. We are a really small company. We don't have a quilting police that comes around with a ruler and slaps your knuckles if you are putting this on a tablecloth. You could absolutely do that. I could take and put the pretty motif designs in the center and then do this nice little run stitch motif all around the edge of that tablecloth or whatever I want to use it on. But it gives you so many more design options if you go in there and take an existing design, and some of them lend themselves to it fairly well. Some of them are more difficult, but you could always put outlines around individual elements. You could do that and, you know, get rid of fill stitches, so you just have run stitches. Sometimes you can convert them. You can't convert your satin stitch directly to a run because then you're going to get a run stitch on either side of it. But you can certainly get rid of the satin stitches and the other part, or draw it yourself. One of the things that's very simple to do is, not with a mouse necessarily, is go into your tools, general options, and if you have a touchscreen computer or one of those drawing tablets that you attach to your computer, you can change this drawing method to freehand. And then I could come in and select my run stitch and just start. This is with my mouse, guys, so it's a little not great looking. Draw it, right click, and you've created a run stitch. I could get rid of the stems here and have these flowers connected with a run stitch. Any way you want to do it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So the other thing that, and you have even other design options in here, and I know is it okay if we run over just a hair?
Yes, I would
Okay.
say so. Just we can
Okay,
finish
thank
up.
you. One other thing that I like to do is pull certain elements out of designs. For example, let's see, where, oh, that's it. It's not the vine, although that one's kind of cute. It is right here. If I take, let's just select this design here. And you see here's the artwork outline around it that you can combine with other artwork and then do your creativeness. I just want this flower. So I am first going to right click and ungroup, or click my ungroup button, and then pick up just this little guy right here and copy it, open up a new page, and paste him. Now, how big is he? He's not quite an inch, so let's make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to make a width of, let's do 1.25, and it adjusts the other accordingly. Okay, good. That's almost, well, we'll make it taller then. We'll do 1.5 height, and click Apply, and then scroll out so we can see what we're doing here. Okay, so here's my flower. If I look at it in 3D, I can see my stitches. If I want to select the whole thing, right-click and group it so it doesn't come apart. Looks to me like here, part of this is a single set or single run, and part of it's 2-ply. I'm just going to change the whole thing to a bean stitch. Now with the bean stitch, it's kind of like a waltz stitch. It goes forward, back, forward, forward, back, forward, forward, back. At least that's what I remember from the waltz in 6th grade. I'm going to, you can do more repeats than just 3, but I'm going to click 3 and apply it. Okay, so there's my stitch. I was going to make it a little bit longer. And click Apply. All right, so now I'm happy with this element. What I want to do is get another border or maybe sashing going. So it's grouped now. I'm going to select it. I'm going to copy it and paste it and flip it that way and move it over here. And I'm going to do that again. I'm going to copy. Oh, I don't have to. I can just paste. It did, but that's okay. Okay, so now I have 3 of these. I want to line them up and have it so that they're centered. At this point, I may also turn on my grid on my screen. I usually don't use it that much unless I'm doing something like this, where in this program, unless I'm doing something like this, like lining them up. And I want to line them up using my grid, and I want to alternate them every other, we'll stagger them a little bit. So I'm going to bring it up here, and I kind of want them just a touch so that I don't have any jump stitches to deal with, because I don't like jump stitches. So if I bring him up, maybe I don't want to go up that far, or maybe I need to make them all bigger. But I can, I can just do that. Okay. So it's touching. And if I take and add one more, copy and paste, I'll scooch on down here, pull it down, set it up on the bottom line, just touching the top. Okay, so now I have 4 of them. Let's take it off of 3D mode, and you can see, let's get rid of the grid too, that I've got all these jump stitches and it's really going wonky. It's going to start with that first one I did, then go over there, then there, then there. So it's really not stitching in a nice order. Let's get that cleaned up first. I'll select all of my different elements, and come up here to optimize my sequence. Okay, boy, that kind of messed it up, didn't it? Then I'm going to select them and optimize my entry-exit points. Okay, that's a little better. The last thing I'm going to do is select them and combine them. And how nicely does that clean up? So now I'm looking at this, and I see that my design is 7.31 inches by 2 inches. At this point, if I want a 7-inch by 2.5-inch border, I come over to my transform in the properties menu, uncheck maintain aspect ratio, change my width to 7. Actually, I'll do it I'll do it 7 inches, and change the height to, we'll even do 2.75, and apply. Oh, that doesn't look very good. Maybe I'll leave it at 2.25. But this is why we audition. I want to go to my machine and stitch out a design that's much better, and have a lot of confidence that the first time I stitch it, it's going to look good. So I fix it all in software first, and then so that I don't have any major surprises, then I can take it to my sewing machine or my embroidery machine and test it on something and not have to test multiple times. I want to nail it on that first testing. So playing with elements and different things is very fun. Do we have any other questions right now, Dory?
No, we don't, but thank you. That was really good.
Well, it's a fun thing to do. You also can, pull in your hoop and see if it's going to fit and all of that type of thing. So play with, and we have just played with designs that are available in the software. All of the 200 that are in your embellishment file, and don't forget about your library. And you've got 40 free designs that you got with Quilt Embellisher. And these are absolutely lovely, and they stitch out so nice and look really pretty. So have fun with your embellishments, and we'll see you next month for some more. And again, I apologize for the issues that we had at the beginning. We'll get that taken care of. So thank you, and thank you, Dory.
Thank you, and have a great evening. Thank you, Nancy and Chris, for this evening's help. Appreciate it. Good night.